Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. B, your Creole Connection, coming to you from South Louisiana. Uh, on relatively overcast skies, we're going to have a pattern of cold weather settling in here. We're going to get a couple of days of freezing weather here on the Gulf Coast. We don't get too many of those days, and we like it like that. Hey, Google, what is the temperature in Thibodeau?
The current temperature in Thibodeau is 36 degrees.
With a
Due
low
to current wind conditions, it feels like it's 28.
with a low tonight of 28. Hey Google, what is the temperature in New Orleans?
Right now in New Orleans, it's 36 degrees. Due to current wind conditions, it feels like it's 29.
With a low tonight of 30. We have that New Orleans sits on the south end of Lake Pontchartrain, so we get the lake effect. And it's always a little cooler, a little warmer rather there than to the west or to the north of New Orleans. Hey Google, what is the temperature in Sydney, Australia?
The temperature in Sydney, Australia, currently is 64 degrees.
With a high tomorrow of 72. Remember, they're on the flip side of the world and they're experiencing their summer weather. Um, just want to remind you, you have 3 days, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Yesterday is gone forever. Can't do anything but learn from it and try to avoid the mistakes you made yesterday and live better. And today is where we are, where we have the most impact, where we get the most utility. And tomorrow's promised to no man. I just went to a funeral not too long ago, and I can guarantee you, we just don't know. So do what you have to do today. And remember, the difference between there's a difference between intentional and hurried. People who are in a hurry tend to make a lot of errors. Got 5 observations for you today about life and the things that's going on. Number 1, the world is a classroom. The tardy bell has rung, and very few people are sitting in their assigned seats. Interesting thought. Remember, the doomsday clock just moved to within 1 minute of midnight. It's been on a countdown for the last 40 years. And I remember when it was 15 minutes to midnight. And here we sit now, just 1 minute before midnight. Number 2, if your life is avoidably difficult, you have no one to blame but yourself. It's your fault. Decisions and actions pack many consequences. Some are immediate, and some are deferred, and some blindside you. Number 3, hope is the derivative of the human heart. Imagine how cold and dark we feel when all hope is gone. You can resuscitate hope back into someone who is slipping away. Number 4, the American political system, Democrats and Republicans, consider it a two-headed beast devouring itself. Number 5, spend a little time today reflecting and recalling good times spent on a beach. There's something about sand, surf, the sunlight, and gentle summer breezes that reboot the soul and the spirit. How's this? If you have a child who is not doing well in school, collaborate with his or her teacher. Remember, you're on the front line, and they are allies and resources. You should see them as such. You shouldn't see them as the enemy. It's surprising how uh, easy it is to to develop a successful mindset, especially in younger children, when the atmosphere is positive. How's this? Planning is vital. You should do planning. That old saying, I'll worry about tomorrow. Well, that's cute. Sounds snide, but it's a mindset that oftentimes leads the person who has that philosophy vulnerable to being blindsided. You should plan, but you should have a bias for action. Don't subject yourself to analysis paralysis. Plan and then do it. You remember these lyrics? Evolution, revolution, gun control, the song of soul. Shooting rockets to the moon, kids growing up too soon. Politicians say more taxes will solve everything. And the band played on. Well, that's the Temptations back in 1970. Ball of confusion. It's amazing how little has changed. Oh, we have the same problems. They just wrapped in a layer of technology now. Same problems, different presentations. I've been busy spending a good amount of time exploring old plantation homes and houses and properties. And I was asked recently, why do you enjoy doing that? Why do you enjoy walking around these old properties? Uh, you know the history, and yes, this person said, you know the history, and I agree, I do. I said to them, I said, yes, I do know the history. But you must remember that history is written by the victors, by the conquerors, by the colonizers. And there's always more history to learn, and perhaps truer history. That's why I do it. There's always more and truer ahead of us. I was thinking, I actively try to avoid controversy and conflict. It's not that I can't get into what the late great civil rights leader in Georgia, Congressman John Lewis, called good trouble. Well, I certainly can do that, and I have done that. I've been radical, and I have been out there in former days. And I can do it again. But this site is not that. This site is dedicated to a more peaceful existence. This is a small pond where we come and share, and we can just share observations and reflect. I'm all about reflecting these days. There's something powerful in reflecting. Now, the idea of reflecting in a pond, that's not original. If you recall, the author Henry David Thoreau wrote Walden Pond. He was a early American transcendentalist who chronicled his experience of living a simpler life, surrounded by nature. That's why I go and visit those old plantation homes oftentimes. There's something about old historical estates that sit in relative obscurity and just a few interested visitors milling about. It has the echoes from its past glory in the face of present day decay and the remoteness from the presses of uh, postmodern life. Postmodern life, because we all have our own ideas of right and wrong, which is uh, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with this whole postmodern philosophy. I think there is an absolute authority on righteousness. I think that is God, but not everybody feels that way. A slower pace. Is slowing down something that only older people do? Well, yes. Older people do slow down. It's inevitable. But oftentimes, the slowness that I'm talking about, or the intentionality of decision making, has a whole lot less to do about mobility than it has to do about the living acquired wisdom. It's also something I might suggest to you that younger people tend to do. Wise young people, when they realize they're moving recklessly. Listen to this quote from Henry David Thoreau. I do believe in simplicity. It is astonishing as well as sad how many trivial affairs even the wisest thinks he must attend to in a day. When the mathematician solves a difficult problem, the mathematician reduces it to its simplest form, its simplest terms. So simplify the problems of life, distinguish the necessary and the real. Henry David Thoreau. Well, that's it. This is Dr. B, your Creole Connection, coming to you on a cold winter's day in South Louisiana, reminding you to drink enough water to stay hydrated and to not just satisfy your thirst, quench your thirst, but drink as much as you can. Preserve your health. Breathe deeply and intentionally. Pray throughout the day. Stay in touch with God, your creator. Stay in touch with him. You don't have to necessarily pray only on your knees. Remember, you can pray in the car, the supermarket, strolling along, jogging. Just stay in touch with God. Important these days, keep a guard over your mind. Your mind is a gate, and there are many forces trying to breach that gate, to have you capitulate to fear. Resist it. Well, that's it. This is Dr. B, your Creole Connection, and we'll see you in the next video.